Prologue. Whispers at Banff Springs. I didn't believe in any of it. Ghost stories, urban legends, hotel myths, all that stuff felt cheap, manufactured, entertainment for the bored or the lonely. And I definitely didn't think I'd end up writing one. But then I stayed at the Banff Springs Hotel, and now I can't sleep without the hallway light on. Let me explain. It was November, the off-season, cold enough that the snow didn't melt during the day, but not yet the peak of winter tourism. I was traveling solo, trying to recalibrate after a long breakup. I booked 3 nights at Banff Springs because it was quiet, elegant, and honestly, it looked great on Instagram. The lobby was grand. Heavy stone columns, vaulted ceilings, fireplaces crackling like something out of a movie. The staff was polite, too polite. There was a strange hush to the place, like it had learned long ago how to keep secrets. They gave me room 875, 8th floor, end of the hallway. The elevator ride up felt longer than it should have. And when the doors opened, I was greeted by silence. No footsteps, no voices, just the hum of the hallway light, flickering slightly above room 872. I walked past it, rolling my suitcase behind me. 872. Then what looked like a longer stretch of wall. Then 874. Then mine, 875. I remember pausing for just a second and thinking, that's odd. There's no 873? But I brushed it off. Not all buildings number rooms consistently, right? The first night passed without anything strange. Just a cold room and a strange draft that I blamed on the old windows. But the second night, I had trouble sleeping. No reason, just restlessness. It was around 2:17 a.m. when I sat up, thinking I'd get some water. The hallway outside was still as expected. But then, I saw a shadow move under the door. Not footsteps, just a shifting of light. Like someone had walked past. Slowly. Except I hadn't heard a sound, not even the creak of floorboards. I opened the door. The hallway was empty. I looked left, room 874. Light off. Door shut. I looked right, room 872. Light off. Door shut. And in between them, there was a strange patch of wall. Smooth. Seamless. But something felt off. I stepped closer and reached out, running my hand across the painted drywall. That's when I felt it. A faint dip in the surface, vertical, narrow, like the outline of a door frame hidden beneath plaster. I froze. It wasn't fear, not exactly. More like recognition. Like when you see something from a dream in real life, and your stomach sinks before your brain catches up. I whispered to myself, "Is this 873? Then a noise. Soft. Like a breath. Right next to my ear. I spun around, but there was nothing. Just the endless hallway behind me. I went back inside. Locked the door. Didn't sleep a second. The next morning, I asked the front desk if someone had checked into 873 the night before. The man at the counter blinked once, then smiled too quickly. "There is no room 873, sir. You must be mistaken." He said it like he'd practiced. I left a day early. But I've never stopped thinking about that wall. The faint shape of a door beneath paint. The silence that seemed to listen. The breath that wasn't mine. And the strangest thing? There was no room 873. Part 1. The Vanishing Room. When you first walk the 8th floor of the Banff Springs Hotel, nothing feels immediately wrong. The walls are clean, the lights are warm. It looks like any other quiet, carpeted hallway in an upscale historic hotel. But if you pay attention, really pay attention, something doesn't add up. Room 870. Room 871. Room 872. Then suddenly, room 874. There's no room 873. And no, it's not skipped because of superstition. That would be 13. This isn't an accident of renovation or renumbering. There's a physical gap where a door should be. A longer stretch of hallway, unnaturally symmetrical. Flat white paint, covering what looks to some like more than just a wall. A travel vlogger named Marcus Doyle uploaded a video in 2019. In it, he and his girlfriend walk slowly down the 8th floor corridor, documenting the alleged haunted side of Banff Springs. When they reach the space between rooms 872 and 874, he stops, taps the wall once, twice, then says, "That doesn't sound like solid drywall, it's hollow, like there's something behind it." He turns the camera. The lighting flickers slightly. His girlfriend whispers off-screen, "Wait, it looks like there's a seam. Look right there. That vertical line." A pause. Then Marcus chuckles awkwardly. Maybe it's just bad construction. But his voice isn't convinced. The video has since been removed. His entire channel gone within 3 months. Now, this alone could be dismissed as YouTube theatrics. But the story doesn't stop with one video. In 2010, a Reddit user under the name Memory Architect posted a thread titled, "Banff Springs, why did they seal a room with drywall?" They claim to have worked construction during minor hotel refurbishments in the early 2000s. According to them, there's a void behind that wall. Not just pipes or ducts, it's a room-sized space. Old frames still inside. I saw it. Wasn't supposed to. The post was removed within hours. Their account? Suspended. But the breadcrumbs kept appearing. In archived blueprints from 1922, Room 873 is clearly marked identical in size and location to the adjacent rooms. In a 1987 fire code inspection map, it's gone. The room number is skipped entirely, with no explanation. Yet the external architecture hasn't changed. If you look at the windows from the outside, you'll count the same number across every floor. 873's window still exists. So where is the door? A former employee, someone we'll call Dylan, who worked nights at Banff Springs in the late 1990s, offered this recollection in a now private Facebook post. The weirdest part wasn't the guests asking about it. It was how the staff reacted. Like they were told not just to avoid the question, but to forget it altogether. I once had a new housekeeper ask me, "Where's room 873? And I swear to you, one of the senior staff looked her dead in the eye and said, "That room doesn't exist, and you didn't just say that." There's more. A key was found. Rusted. Heavy. Brass. No number. A night porter turned it in. Said he'd found it sitting inside the lost and found drawer, on top of a folded napkin that wasn't there the day before. It was gone the next morning. Weeks later, a bellhop found an old black and white photo in a guest's drawer in room 875. 3 people, man, woman, child, smiling. On the back was written, 873. No one claimed it. And then there are the cameras. Hotel security did a routine check after a false alarm triggered movement on the 8th floor. The alert came from a zone labeled blank. Not room 872, not room 874. Just in between. The footage showed flickering, a shadow, Then nothing. No person. No object. But something was definitely there. The tech in charge flagged it. Next day, he was moved to another location. What kind of hotel reassigns staff over a camera glitch? What kind of wall triggers motion sensors? What kind of door disappears but refuses to be forgotten? Part 2. The murders nobody reported. The official story is that no such murder ever took place. But unofficially, behind closed doors, across whispers, and through redacted reports, people speak of what happened in room 873. Winter, sometime in the mid-1970s. A man checks into the Banff Springs Hotel with his wife and 8-year-old daughter. They were a quiet family, stayed to themselves, ate room service, smiled in passing. 3 nights in, a maid heard something. Not screaming, not a crash. A rhythm. Dull. Wet. Rhythmic. Thud. 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 By the time security forced the door open, it was silent again. What they found inside was never officially recorded, but over the years, pieces leaked. The wife was found in the bed, her throat cut. The daughter, barely recognizable, curled up in the corner behind the curtains, holding a stuffed bear soaked in blood. The man? In the bathroom, slumped against the tub. A straight razor on the floor. He had written a note on the mirror in what looked like red lipstick. But it wasn't lipstick. The note read, "It came through the mirror. I broke the glass, but it still spoke. I told it no. It didn't care." The last line wasn't words. It was a symbol. 3 vertical slashes. A circle. Then a mirrored 3. After that night, something changed. One cleaner, only known as Marcy, said she was assigned to clean the room the morning after. She quit 3 hours later. In an unsigned note left in her locker, she wrote, "There are some things bleach can't reach." They replaced the mattress, scrubbed the walls, burned the linens, but the gurgling sounds, the crying never left. Guests started complaining. Phones ringing in the middle of the night with no one on the line. A child's voice whispering from inside the vent. One man swore he saw the bathtub filled with water when he entered. By the time he turned on the light, it was dry. The management called in spiritual consultants. 3 different teams. Each time, they said the same thing. This room is not just haunted, it's active. Eventually, they gave up. They tried sealing it shut. But every time they locked the door, the handle would rattle. So they walled it in. But before the drywall was put up, one last thing happened. A night clerk named Daniel was cataloging guest keys. He found one. Old, rusted, unnumbered. It shouldn't have been in the system. But when he held it, he said he heard something. A child's giggle. From the drawer. He quit the next morning. The key disappeared 2 weeks later. A year after the room was sealed, a guest in room 875 reported finding a photograph tucked behind the headboard. Black and white. A family of 3. The mother was smiling. The child looked bored. The father was staring straight into the camera. Wide-eyed. Expressionless. On the back of the photo, written in faded ink, 873. They say the photo was locked in the manager's office. It disappeared the next day. There was never a police report. No news articles. No obituaries. But people remember. And so does the room. Part 3. the room that refused to be forgotten. Not all hauntings announce themselves with screams or slamming doors. Some whisper, and some don't speak at all, they just repeat. A guest named Claire stayed at Banff Springs in the summer of 2018. She was traveling alone, a school teacher on break. She was assigned room 875. The first night, she heard humming. Not from the hallway, not from the vent, from inside the wall behind the headboard. A soft, off-key lullaby. She said it reminded her of something from her childhood, but distorted, as if someone were remembering the melody wrong. She asked the front desk the next morning if someone was staying in the room next door. The clerk blinked and answered automatically, "Room 874 is currently vacant," then paused, then added, "There is no room on the other side." Claire asked, "What do you mean?" The clerk smiled politely and changed the subject. On her last night, Claire dreamed she was watching a man murder his family. She said she wasn't scared, just cold. Like the nightmare wasn't hers, but the room's. She checked out early, left a review online that simply said, "Some rooms, remember." She wasn't alone. In 2021, a man named Tristan O. posted on Reddit about his stay in room 874. He said the lamp on the desk kept turning on by itself, always at 3:13 a.m. One night, he got up to unplug it. He passed the wall where room 873 should have been. As he did, his phone buzzed. Motion alert. From the hallway camera he'd set up on a portable stand just for fun. The app read, "Motion detected, left perimeter." He checked the footage the next morning. There was no motion, just static. But in one frame, he saw a shape, not in the hallway. In the mirror, a man, standing still, looking back. Tristan deleted the app the next day. Then there's Sarah, a housekeeper, worked weekends. She was cleaning room 874 one Sunday when her vacuum suddenly shut off. Breaker blown? She checked, all fine. Then 3 knocks. From the wall. She assumed it was plumbing. Then it happened again. 3 knocks. Deliberate. Measured. Like someone or something was asking to be let out. She opened the door to the hallway, hoping to find another staff member. But there was no one. She returned to finish the room, only to find the mirror was fogged over, even though she hadn't used the sink or touched the glass. And there, on the fog, was a child's handprint. Tiny, clear, perfectly centered. Sarah never went back. Then there's the TikTok incident. June 2022. 3 college students stayed on the 8th floor for a hiking trip. They filmed a hallway dance challenge outside room 875. They posted the clip. It got maybe 2,000 views. Then someone noticed the reflection behind them. Not in the hallway, in the glass art fixture across from room 873's wall. A little girl, standing perfectly still, wearing an old-fashioned dress, looking into the camera, except she wasn't there in the original footage. Not really. She was only visible in the reflection. The video was deleted within 48 hours. The account? Private. But screenshots made it to forums. And to this day, no one has explained the girl in the reflection. The most disturbing report comes from a former night shift security guard. He worked weekends for a year before quitting without notice. His name was Ray. He said he used to patrol the 8th floor at 3 a.m. sharp hotel protocol. One night, he walked past the space between rooms 872 and 874 and saw a family walk out of the wall. A man, a woman, A child, hand in hand. They didn't look at him. They just walked calmly down the hallway and vanished at the turn. Ray checked the security feed. Nothing, but the footage cut out for exactly 7 seconds starting the moment they appeared. He gave his notice the next morning. When asked why, he simply said, "I don't mind ghosts, but I do mind patterns." Part 4. Blueprints, glitches, and whispers. Some mysteries hide in shadows, others in paperwork, and sometimes the most terrifying truths are the ones that used to be on record and were erased. Let's talk about the blueprints. Banff Springs was originally built in the late 1880s, but the version that stands today dates back to 1928, after a fire destroyed much of the original wooden structure. Architectural plans from that era still exist, archived both digitally and in the Banff Municipal Records Office. One of them clearly shows room 873, right where it should be, identical in size and position to rooms 872 and 874. But a later blueprint from a 1987 fire code update skips directly from room 872 to 874. The space isn't removed, just unnamed. A blank box. What's more disturbing? That box is outlined in red, which according to the map's legend indicates restricted access or under structural evaluation. That designation was never removed, not even in the 2021 blueprint revision. Multiple versions, multiple contradictions, and the space behind that wall, always there. Never repurposed, never explained, just marked in red and then ignored. Now let's go further. A former systems technician, who we'll call Theo, worked for a third-party contractor hired to modernize the hotel's fire alarm and access control systems in 2015. Theo claims he found an entry in the room database labeled RM 873, internal, do not display. It was tagged as active, but with no linked keycard access, no housekeeping schedule, and no maintenance logs. Theo tried to delete the entry. The system denied him. When he flagged it to a supervisor, the file disappeared from the directory within 24 hours. No note, no ticket, just gone. But Theo had screenshots. He posted them in a private Facebook group for system integrators. They were deleted within minutes. His account was locked out the next day. Someone or something didn't want room 873 to exist. Not physically, not digitally, not even in memory. And yet, people still see it. There are patterns. Flickering hallway lights only in the segment between rooms 872 and 874. Cold spots. Audio anomalies in security footage. And then, there's the glitch. A guest named Nora brought her teenage son to Banff Springs in 2022. They were assigned room 871. Her son, a film student, brought along a basic EMF detector for fun. Late one night, it spiked. The strongest signal came not from the electrical outlets, but from the wall, right where 873 should be. Her son took a picture with long exposure. The photo, grainy and tinted with green noise, showed what looked like a brass number plate. A blur, but legible. 873. The number wasn't visible to the naked eye, only in the photo. They left the next morning. The camera with the SD card still inside vanished from their luggage before they reached home. And what about the idea of selective perception? of seeing something that isn't really there, or being unable to see what is. A neurologist named Dr. Lin Vu, who specializes in perceptual blindness and signal interference in high-altitude environments, once stayed at Banff Springs during a medical conference. She noted something odd in her journal. I walked past a closed door with the number 873 on it, dark wood, brass handle. But when I turned around, the door was gone. I asked a bellhop about it. He looked scared, said it wasn't real. I saw it. I know I did. Dr. Vu later gave a talk about temporary cognitive synchronization, a state in which brainwave patterns may align briefly with ambient electrical fields, creating moments of shared perception or false memory. She cited Banff Springs as an anecdotal case, then never mentioned it again. There's one more thing. A guest staying in room 872 left behind a journal. Found by housekeeping. Turned in. Forgotten in a drawer. It contained page after page of scribbled dreams. Names that didn't exist. Diagrams. Coordinates. And one phrase repeated 17 times. The door moves when no one's looking. They say the journal was locked in the security office. That was the last time anyone saw it. So what is room 873? A glitch? A scar in architecture? A memory that refuses to be erased? Or something that wants to be found? Part 6. The door only some will find. They say it's gone, walled up, erased, forgotten. But that's not true, because sometimes the door comes back. You have to be alone, late, tired but not asleep, your mind soft, just open enough. That's when it happens. You walk the 8th floor. The carpet muffles your steps. The lights hum just slightly out of tune. The air feels too still, too perfect. Like a stage set after everyone's gone. You pass room 872. A few steps more. Room 874. And between them, just wall. Painted beige. Seamless. Unless you blink at the right moment, or turn your head too fast, or glance in the mirror across the hall. Then sometimes you'll see it. A door, dark wood, brass handle, faint scuff marks near the base, like someone's shoes dragged backward, and above it, barely lit by the hallway glow. Room 873. That's where I come in. My name doesn't matter. Let's just say, I've been looking, not for ghosts, not for horror, but for proof that some mysteries can't be solved, only entered. The night I saw it, the hallway was empty. I hadn't slept in 2 days. I don't remember why. I just remember stopping, standing, and seeing something I shouldn't have. I don't remember walking toward the door, but I must have, because suddenly, my hand was on the knob. Cold. Too cold. Like it hadn't been touched in decades. I stood there for what felt like minutes, maybe longer. I kept waiting for something to stop me. Footsteps, a voice, an alarm, anything. But the hallway stayed still. So I turned the knob. It clicked, and the door opened silently. Inside was darkness, but not empty darkness. Heavy, dense, like the air had weight, like it remembered. The smell hit me first. Old wood, dust, faint perfume, and something metallic. Not blood, but the memory of it. There was a bed, still made, perfectly, except the pillows were dented, like someone had just sat up. The window was open. The curtain moved barely. There was no wind, only the sound, that same lullaby, off-key, wrong. Then I saw it. On the desk, a photo, 3 people, a man, a woman, a child, faded, but familiar. I picked it up. On the back, in shaky ink, I never left. Something moved behind me. I turned fast, but the hallway was gone. Just wall. No door. No number. Only mirror. And in the mirror, I saw me. But not exactly. I looked tired. Older. Like I had stayed too long. I blinked and the mirror was gone. The door opened again. This time, into the hallway, back where I started. I left that night. I didn't check out. I didn't speak to anyone. I just walked out the lobby doors and never looked back. Until now. Because I still see it. Not always. Not clearly. But it's there. In photos I didn't take. In dreams I can't finish. In mirrors that fog for no reason. And sometimes in other buildings. Not Banff. Not Canada. But familiar. I think it follows some people. Or maybe it waits for those who can see it. You're wondering if I'd go back. If I'd open the door again. I already did. And if you've made it this far, if you've followed every word, if you've stared at that stretch of wall between rooms 872 and 874 long enough, then maybe, just maybe, you'll see it too.